Good morning, Pod Squad. Today is Thursday, September 17th. I pray that you all are in preparation for having an amazing day, that you're in preparation for winning on purpose, for excelling on purpose, for being positive on purpose today. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the changes in your marriage, and I'm referring to you changing and your spouse changing. I think many people come into a marriage and think that your spouse, because nobody likes to, hold themselves accountable. And I don't even want to say take the blame, but no one wants to hold themselves accountable or take the blame, but they're quick to point the finger. But we need to realize that not only is your spouse going to change throughout the years of marriage, you're going to change also. No one is supposed to remain the same. Even those of you who are single and aren't married, like the whole point of life is changing. The whole point of life is transitioning. The whole point of life is evolving. So you need to understand and come into the marriage with the mindset of knowing not only are you going to change, but your spouse is going to change also. And I want to encourage you to not only embrace the change, but love the change. You're not going to be the same person who stood at the altar however many years ago and said, I do. Your spouse is not going to be the same person. And believe it or not, you're not going to change just once or twice. You guys are probably going to transition throughout the years. Your spouse is going to find out things about himself or herself that they weren't even aware of. And you have to be okay with that change. You have to embrace that change. And better yet, you also have to love that change. Not only is your spouse going to find things out about themselves, you too are going to find out things about yourself. You're going to find out maybe underlying issues that you've had, flaws that you've had, insecurities that you've had, because every flaw or insecurity or every issue or every characteristic about us doesn't always surface right away. Some things are trigger points, that they don't surface until later on in life or later down the line. Some things were in our bloodline and generational. So a lot of things we don't encounter or face until years in. And it's not fair to your spouse or to yourself to say, oh, okay, well, you're not the same person that I married. Absolutely. They're not going to be the same person, and neither are you. And you got to not only embrace that, but love that change as change comes. Expect the change, embrace the change, love the change. I will say this, change is not always going to be beautiful. It's not always going to be easy. The aftermath of the change is meant to be beautiful, but the transition, the process of change is the part that some can seem to think that it's unbearable. Maybe your change is painful. Maybe your change is ugly. Maybe your change is dark. Maybe your change is uncertain. Change has different forms. It comes in different forms, but the entire point of the change is for it to be beautiful when it's done. Think about a butterfly. The butterfly starts off as a caterpillar. The caterpillar then comes and forms a cocoon, and it's there for a period of time before the butterfly comes out. And if the cocoon is opened or broken too soon, it'll die. What was meant to be beautiful won't have manifested. And it's the same way, with our lives. And it's the same way with our marriages. There are times that you're going to feel like you're in a cocoon. At times you're going to feel like it's just you. Times you're going to feel like no one sees you. No one understands you. But you're going through a change. You're going through a transition. You're evolving. In life, I encourage you to evolve and change. If you're not changing, there's something wrong. And I'm not saying, there won't be some mistakes along the way or some changes that weren't the best choices. That's a whole part of evolving and growing and learning. How can you learn if you never make mistakes? You got to embrace those mistakes too. Love those mistakes also, because you have to be in love with who you are becoming. You have to be in love with who your spouse is becoming. And both of you will become several times. And during that becoming, that's going to be the most crucial part, the most vital part, because like I said, the change is going to be ugly. The change may be painful. The change may be just so confusing and you don't understand. But you have to know that it won't always be like that. That change is going to come. That butterfly season is going to come. That those beauty for your ashes has to come. God will turn your grave into a garden. But you have to endure the change. You can't just be one way and wake up the next day. I'm being convicted as I even say this, but you can't just be one way one day and wake up completely changed. That's not how change happens. Change happens over a period of time. Transitions happen over a period of time. And be ready for it. Embrace it. It's not always a pretty place to be in, but take the time that you need to change. What is it that you need to learn? What is it that you're finding out about yourself? What is it that you are finding out that you're not too happy with? What is it that you discovered about yourself? Who is the man or woman that you see in the mirror, the reflection that looks back at you? That's the season of becoming. Be in love with who you're becoming. Be happy with who you're becoming. Be okay with who you're becoming. I will say this, when you're becoming, it can be frightening because you don't always believe you are the person who God said He's always known you to be. He created you to be. I had a hard time accepting the fact when, God told me who He said I was, or began to reveal to me who He's always known me to be. I didn't see that woman when I looked in the mirror. And it took a while before, not only that I saw her, but it took a while before I accepted her, because I didn't accept her right away. And I'm just being honest about that. I was afraid. I was like, that can't be me. I don't qualify for that. I don't know how to do that. I'm not equipped for that. I can't handle that. But God knew who He created me to be. He knew me before I was in my mother's womb. The process of becoming, the change of becoming, loving who you are becoming. And you got to love who your spouse is also becoming. You all are supposed to love each other through the thick and the thin, for better and for worse. And so many times in marriage, we only want the good parts. And if it's going to be bad, people want to bail and go the other way. And that's not fair. That's not what you made a promise to do. That's not what you stood before God and promised your spouse and promise, your family and promise yourself. That's the whole point of those vows. There's going to be good and there's going to be bad. There's going to be richer and there's going to be poor. There's going to be thick and there's going to be thin. Change is inevitable. Change has to come. Change has to happen. But be okay with the change. Your spouse is probably going to change so many times throughout the years, and so are you. The change, a lot of the things that you're finding out may be things that you didn't expect, maybe things that you weren't prepared for, maybe things that you weren't exactly tickled or pleased about. But it's life. We're only human. Sometimes we meet a new version of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. We find out things about ourselves that we didn't even know that we carried into this marriage, or that we were born into, or that sit into our heart. That's why God examines our heart. That's why God places us in the school of ourself, to allow us to self-reflect, allow us to look within, allow us to see the things that we close off from the world and that we hide from the world, and the skeletons that's in our closet. He has to reveal those things to us so He can let us know, okay, we need to put death to this. We need to bury that child, that hurt little girl that you used to be when you were a little girl, that you've still brought along into your mid years, your later years, or to that little boy. Believe it or not, a lot of the issues that we have, a lot of the things that I guess I can say our insecurities or some of our flaws, a lot of that has transpired to something when we were children, something when we were much younger, something that we didn't realize played such a significant role and had such a significant impact in the adult and the man and woman that we are today. And a lot of times we're not okay with accepting that. We got to learn to hold ourselves accountable. Everything can't be fixed unless we acknowledge that there's something that needs to be fixed. If we walk around all day, in this bubble, like life is just what it is, this is just who I am. No, that's not who God created you to be. What is God trying to show you? What issues do you have? What things is it that's holding you back? What is it that you need to put death to so something else can be resurrected, so something else can be born? And be okay with the thing that God shows you. Be okay with the thing that God begins to reveal in your spouse. You're supposed to be with them through those changes, through those transitions. It wasn't easy. It was never meant to be easy, but it's necessary. It's necessary to get to becoming. It's necessary to evolve. It's necessary to grow. It's necessary to have some things cut off and burned off and pruned off, so you can fly higher, so you can soar higher, so you can be a better person. But embrace that change. Love that change. Marriage is full of changes in your spouse and yourself. You're going to transition over the years. You're going to learn new things about yourself. You're going to walk into new things that God has for you. The whole point is to grow, to be better. Nobody wants to be the same. If you have that mentality of being the same, I bind that. I rebuke that right now. That sameness mentality, that complacent mentality. You should always want to be better. You should always want to put yourself in a situation to be used by God, to please God, to give God glory, to give God honor. And the only way God can use you is if he begins to remove the things, reveal the things that don't look like him and that are displeasing to him. Not only is he going to do that in yourself, he's going to do that within your spouse also. And there will be some times, like I said, during those changes that you're like, whoa, I didn't sign up for this. Or, whoa, hold on, I didn't know you were like this. Or, hold on, I didn't know you dealt with that. But guess what? Just like your spouse has their issues, you too have issues. God gave you grace. God forgave you. God took you and cleaned you up. And God is going to do the same thing with your spouse. A change is not a one-time thing. You don't just change one time and you've become who you're going to be. That's why it's becoming. That's why you're becoming. And that's why you need to love the change of becoming. Not only the becoming, the person you're becoming to be, but love the person your spouse is becoming to be. You both are going to be two different people throughout the years of marriage. You both are going to evolve. You both are going to change. You both are going to grow. And you made a promise to each other. You made a promise to God. You made a promise to yourselves to get through that change, to love them despite the change, whether you like it or not. People take marriage, they don't take it seriously. They look at it like it's just one other relationship. Something surfaces that you don't like, about your spouse or about yourself, and you want to chuck the deuces and go the other way. That's not what marriage is about. We need to get serious about marriage. Marriage is till death do us part. Not until one of us finds something else about a flaw that somebody else had, or something with a generational curse, or something in their bloodline, or just something that just surfaced up later on throughout the years. It's till death do us part, meaning when you made that vow at that altar before God, before your spouse, and to yourself, that you were going to be in this until you no longer had breath in your body. Change can be a good thing if you look at it that way. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to share this, and I will chat with you all next time. Bye.